What's going on, Jeromes? Beautiful Monday, birds are chirping and stuff, and we got some more Q&As. Thank you, everyone who submits questions. Periodically, we'll put out a call out for questions, and we like doing the Q&As in this format because before we used to read every single question. Some of them would get redundant if we didn't go through and sift. But I like this format where we got 5 or 6 of them. We can explore the space a little bit, and it's good times. So thanks, everyone again who does that. LFL Football Jet. Hey, Andy, if you were not a Vikings fan and had to root for another NFC North team, who would it be? Hard decision. So, obviously would not be a greasy grime Green Bay Packers fan. Just can't do it. And it's weird because, I've listened to the Vince Lombardi biography, which is great. I mean, he was a hell of a leader. He was a great coach. He was an inspiring person, but he just coached a very terrible football team. It happens, man. It happens. And it's the history of the Packers is unique. I feel like the Lambeau Field is an iconic stadium, even though it's just filled with high school bleachers of piss. But it's the fans. I can't abide. Can't do it. And also, it's usually a double whammy because most of those Packers fans are also Badgers fans. It's just nah, can't do it, man. I probably would have said Lions before this last year, and then Lion fans really exposed themselves. So, now. But I probably would pick the Bears, mainly because I feel like I have the least amount of beef at this time with the Bears, because the Lions definitely just shut up. They definitely went all AMC stock on the bid, just in terms of hater rating. But so the Bears, I've always respected the Bears, mainly because they were never really a threat because they usually had a worse quarterback situation than the Vikings did. I always like Chicago as a city. I think it's a fun town to visit. I always like Chicagoans, hardworking, salty. They were food is great. It's a fun city. I think it's a underrated and overlooked city at times. So I do respect Chicago and the Midwestern values of the great state of Illinois. But also it would be such a shame if the Bears went indoors. It would probably be as bad as when the Vikings went into the Metrodome in 1981 because I respect the style of defense that the Bears have historically played. I respect the cold weather aspect of it. That's what football is supposed to be, man. So if they actually put a dome on top of Soldier Field or build that stadium, that indoor stadium right next to it, just so they can have a Kenny Chesney concert, why? I don't get it, man. But yeah, I mean, it is a tough decision. It would be like pulling teeth. I may just choose a different sport. But yeah, it probably would be the Bears. Next, Trap Shoot. Jj2K with the possible mid-season quarterback switch. So what's interesting is that a lot of the sports books for entertainment purposes only, they're really down on Jefferson in terms of putting up stats. He's 12-1 to lead the league in receiving. And I actually don't think that with the quarterback turmoil that the Vikings have, I don't think it's going to necessarily impact JJ as much as everyone thinks because Darnold can sling it. If McCarthy gets in there, he's going to sling it, right? And also, frankly, if McCarthy gets in there, things have gone so kaput anyway. And also, hey, all the experts are telling me that the Vikings are supposed to be really bad this year. So if they're really bad every single game, they should be trailing significantly in the second half and have a lot of comeback garbage time because those stats still count the same, whether it's a high leverage spot or a low leverage garbage situation. Also, remember, Jefferson put up numbers with Nick Mullins. All right, so it's not necessarily a Kirk Cousins thing as much as everyone wants to make it out to be. And again, it's exactly like what I said would happen. When Kirk Cousins was here, he was seen as ass. Thank you. As soon as he left, he's like, oh, the Vikings just let go of a franchise quarterback. It's exactly how the media is spinning the same. But, we can't call it JJ2K anymore because he doesn't want to be JJ anymore. So I guess Jets2K. I do think it would be in the realm of possibility. I think that Jefferson is as close to being a quarterback independent as you can possibly be. And I think that whoever the quarterback is, he knows that JJ is going to be his best friend. He's going to chuck things up. Hopefully he doesn't throw up any Josh Dobbs hospital balls, etc. But yeah, I think that Jefferson's going to put up some surprisingly good numbers. this year. Whether it's Darnold, whether it's McCarthy, whether it's McCarthy and Darnold, whether it's McCarthy, Darnold, Mullins, doesn't matter. Next, John Whitnell. If we don't win a lot this season, do you think Kevin O'Connell's job might be in trouble? No. Now, absent a Kansas City Chiefs arrests and locker room completely tuning Kevin O'Connell out, or like Kevin O'Connell like TMZ scandal stuff, like I don't see anything happen. Like the I don't know. I guess absent like an 0-17 season, like I just don't see it. Like honestly, the Vikings go 3-14. I think everyone would be fine. You know why? Because this was all part of the plan. This was the competitive rebuild aspect, and the Vikings. I mean, if Kirk Cousins didn't get hurt last year, I think the Vikings still win the division. So it would have been 2 division wins in a row in a roster in flux that wasn't even theirs, right? But now everything is reset. They have a young team that's built for the future, and yeah, there's going to be some growing pains. And yeah, the Vikings might end up 3-14. It is what it is. They also might end up 10-7 and win the division, Houston Texans style, right? So I think that whatever happens this season happens. Like, which is actually kind of makes it fun because you get to see what this young team can do. There's potential all over the place. They're building for 3, 4, 5 years down the road, not just this year. And so whatever happens positively is just a free roll. It really is. But no, I think O'Connell and Kwesi are more than safe. And frankly, I think before the season, it wouldn't shock me if both of them get extended together. Next, Walter Cronkite, Walter Cronkite, Dave Matthews Band? She wakes up in the morning. How will Flores curate defensive strategies against our NFC North opponents? So obviously, this is way over my head, but in terms of like my back of the envelope fan barroom theories. So Lions, even though Monroe plays a lot of his snaps in the slot, you got to double him, got to bracket him, got to take him away. You got to rough him up a little bit as well. And basically just make anyone else beat you. And so just make Jared Goff distribute the football. And, yeah, they are going to be creative as always, but it is a cat and mouse game with Flores and Ben Johnson. And I think that Flores is going to have something for the Lions this year. For the Packers, so I know that Jordan Love is the cat's ass right now, but remember what Flores and the Vikings defense did to Jordan Love in Lambeau, the Kirk Cousins game. Now, the Kurt injury overshadows everything, but Flores' defense looked fantastic. It made Jordan Love look like ass. Thank you. And the whole thing about Jordan Love is that you can still fool him quite a bit. Like if you play straight up, he can pick you apart, and if you give him time. But if you muddy up your looks, if you disguise and drop into zone a lot, if you rush 4 and are able to drop 7 and move Love off the spot and play games with him, like he will make mistakes. Like he will give the ball away. That's evidence in the San Francisco game. So I think that's the way that you get after Jordan Love. I think that Flores actually has a pretty decent bead on him. Ignore that second game. And then the Bears, just chaos. Chaos up front. Attack that weak part of the Bears' interior offensive line and make Caleb try and play hero ball, which he can be a hero, he can be the villain. And saw that at USC all the time. But in the NFL, it's a lot different, man. And I think that's going to be the key is move Caleb Williams off the spot, make him think that he has to be Superman on a given day, because I don't think that he can at this stage of his career. And then he'll give the ball away, and that will just... So Caleb Williams is definitely an emotional player, and I don't say that as a negative. Like, he wears his heart on his sleeve, and I respect that about him. But you can tell, like, when there's mistakes, they can weigh on him. Like, they gnaw at him, and it increases the likelihood of another mistake, and then another mistake, and then another mistake, and things do snowball. I don't see that with McCarthy. When McCarthy makes a mistake, he owns it, just sort of moves on with with Williams, like he takes it personally. Again, that's not a negative against him per se. I mean that's just how Caleb Williams is, and I kind of love that about him, and also it could be a detriment to him. So who knows? That's how they're going to get after things. Next, this is a fun one. Martuz Fisher, best football movies. Remember the Titans. We Are Marshall. So I like We Are Marshall, except it makes me just really sad. Yeah. Now, although McConaughey is so good in like random movies, like McConaughey in Angels in the Outfield. Like he was just really good. He was just funny, man. But all right, so my top 10 football movies any given Sunday. I understand like it's corny and hokey and over the top, but Al Pacino, life is this game of inches, and go to the Buick, turn around, I'll throw you the football. It's great. Jamie Foxx is fantastic as Willie Beeman. I loved that they pieced together like his backstory. So he was from the University of Houston, and he was supposed to be a high draft pick, but he fell in the draft because he took money from an agent or something. But who'd really care about that? Plus, it's in a universe where the NFL does exist. So this is a competing professional football league, and they're still getting it done, and they still have star players. I love that LL Cool J is the running back, and I also love that Lawrence Taylor is just Lawrence Taylor. Whatever. Like Jim Brown's maybe that's why your team's so bad. Jim Brown's your defensive coordinator. He's a running back, bro, or a fullback rather. Jim Brown is the greatest lacrosse player of all time. So there you go. But I feel like Oliver Stone just completely made this thing over the top, and it's just really, really good. I mean, I can't not watch it whenever like I see it on streaming, whatever. So my top 10 football list is about rewatchability. So that's why We Are Marshall isn't on there, because I don't know, that one makes me sad. But Varsity Blues, I Don't Want Your Laugh. It's fantastic. Longest Yard remake. I mean, Adam Sandler. So Adam Sandler is very polarizing in his movies. Like they're either frickin-tastic. So Uncut Gems. I'll put Hustle up there. Happy Gilmore, Billy Madison, Waterboy, Longest Yard, and everything else he made for Netflix. Yeah. See, Friday Night Lights. So I understand this is a classic. I mean, it's good. In terms of rewatchability, like it's not like high up there, but you have to respect the game. Remember the Titans. Actually, I would put Remember the Titans higher. I should probably put that at like 3. Remember the Titans is good. 0 fun, sir. Draft Day. I know people hate on Draft Day and they make it oversimplistic, but remember, like the movie was made for the wider audience. So like the movie was made for like my wife and my father-in-law, like very casual football fans. It wasn't made for the PFF crowd. Sorry, it's just what it is, man. The Blind Side. So even though like the whole Blind Side story is unraveled, I mean, it's still a good movie. The Replacements. And I Will Be King. Keanu Reeves, come on. Shane Falco, let's go. Jerry Maguire. So I guess that's technically a football movie, but it's just really good. That's one of my favorite Tom Cruise movies. Even though, oh wait, no, there is a scene with him running after the game to run in to make a plane to get home to say, "You complete me," because like Tom Cruise runs in every movie. It's funny, and I just put Little Giants on there. In terms of rewatchability, I watched that with my daughter a couple weeks ago. It's actually really good, and it still holds up. So there you go. Lastly, T. Duvin, what type of backyard cooking machine do you use? Gas grill, pellet smoker, etc. So we got the Traeger. We've had that for 5-6 years. So we used to have like a stick burner, but then it just like. So Minnesota is not necessarily very conducive for year-round barbecuing, but the Traeger is. Like it takes a couple more pellets in the winter, but yeah, you can definitely still crank out a good smoke even in the winter, which is really good. Other than that, so we got a gas grill, just easy peasy for like weeknights and stuff. We got a Blackstone if I want to make like a onion volcano and do hibachi and stuff, which is good. And so I've gotten into, so like in Asia, like there's these little charcoal grills. Then they have these little skewers of chicken and like other various meats, like yakitori style. Sort of got into that. All right, so now, so you have to sit on a bucket in flip flops, and you have to have like the grill in front of you, and it's just like, yeah. It makes various parts of you smell a lot like smoke, as I'm told. It's interesting, man. But yeah, there's something about charcoal and like the sizzle of like chicken fat or like beef or pork fat, just like hitting those coals, hitting fire. I feel like there's something that's built into our DNA that goes back to our ancestors, where it's just like there's such a release of what's it called, endorphins, or like good things, probably endorphins. When you smell that, right? Like the sizzling meat of meat fat dripping onto fire, because I feel like, back, with our caveman ancestors, because when they smelt that, it's like, hey, you get to live for a couple more days. And that made them feel really, really good about themselves. And I feel like that's still built into the DNA, the double helix in there. And I feel like that's why, barbecuing is still so popular. I mean, it's what we're made to do. And it's fantastic. But that's it. That's Vikings Q&A for this beautiful Monday. You guys are the best. You know what to do. Skol. Production value.